What is your government's objection just to giving landowners reasonable notice before Ottawa freezes their property? What happens to the cases of those people, Mr. Minister? Because your own government has said that people are experiencing a affordability crisis.
Gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. Get your Canadian federal politics right here. Smash the like, hit subscribe. We have House Leader Steven MacKinnon, who is an absolute disaster. He's the acting transport minister as well as House Leader. Can't get any answers from this guy. Let's see what Dan Albas can do. 2 rounds, Dan Albas, Steve MacKinnon, head-to-head in committee. Let's go. Let's kick it off. Steven MacKinnon.
Here, Minister, it's great to be joining you on this committee today. As the critic for transport for the Conservatives, my motto is have questions, we'll travel. Let's start with, Minister, Section 98 of the Canada Transportation Act exists so that the agency can examine whether a proposed rail line is reasonable for the affected communities and landowners. Why does your bill eliminate this independent review entirely? Wouldn't an expedited CTA review preserve oversight without delaying the project?
It would delay the project.
Minister, you said in just 4 years. That's just for a small component of it. Is there any harm, Minister, in restoring even a 90-day expedited CTA review so communities can have a legal avenue to be heard?
We believe this project, as the bill references, is for the general benefit of Canada. That is why we've taken the steps that you see in the bill to make sure that whether it be a major energy project, for example, a major mine, a major piece of infrastructure elsewhere in the country, we've determined that moving quickly on projects that have existed in the public's imagination or the public's consciousness over many, many years, it is important to accelerate these things. This is something that we thought strongly enough that we made it a major part of our platform in the last election. And with respect to high-speed rail, this is a project that, while it was announced prior to the last election, we spent a long time debating and figuring out how we could get to a decision to construct this piece of infrastructure in an accelerated time frame. And this is the
No one is
proposal.
talking about eliminating the project or patting on big, bulky consultation processes. A 90-day expedited CTA review would give it independence and give people a trusted body in which they can make those representation. Now, Minister, under your bill, a landowner can wake up to a right of first refusal or a prohibition on work notice without any warning, instantly freezing their land. Why not include a simple 120-day mandatory notice so that farmers, homeowners, and small businesses aren't ambushed by your process or lack of it?
Well, let me first state that common sense will predominate in this process, and we will, of course, approach landowners to indicate interest and to attempt to negotiate a fair market value for the limited amount of corridor that will be required for the project. There is obviously every interest on the part of Alto and on the part of the government to have good and effective relationships with people along the route. This is a significant piece of linear infrastructure. It requires a limited corridor, but it requires a continuous corridor. And once we announce the specific corridor that has been selected, the specific alignment that has been selected, we will, of course, in all cordiality and in all willingness to negotiate, approach landowners on a no surprises basis.
But, Mr. Minister, quite honestly, it doesn't say that we are going to show common sense in the legislation. It says nothing at all. In fact, you know, what is your government's objection just to giving landowners reasonable notice before Ottawa freezes their property?
Again, this is a corridor, a very small 60-meter corridor. The measures that you're referring to have
20 days just give them the chance so that they can plan properly? Right now, the clock is on them, not on you. That's not fair. That's not property rights.
A right of first refusal does not preclude someone from negotiating a purchase and sale agreement. In fact, the process for
freeze on work could cause considerable problems. You said 4 years, but what if it goes longer than that,
freeze
Minister?
on work is actually a courtesy to landowners so that they don't end up, indeed, so that they don't end up planning significant improvements.
Minister,
to a
and
piece of
put
land.
yourself in the shoes of someone who's worked their whole lives and they're about to make a sale, and suddenly you get a freeze on what they can do on it, and suddenly the value of that property is totally in question. Imagine if you were that person, as someone who's near retirement. Isn't that the equivalent of pulling the rug out under them and their property rights?
No, the principle that, again, the very common sense principle will be one of fair market value for this limited amount of land that is required.
Well, you could freeze someone up at 4 years or longer where they can't do anything. And Minister, your bill also allows for land to be expropriated on a fast track, but it doesn't guarantee compensation based on independent appraisals or even cover landowners' own legal costs. Why not ensure compensation is based on the highest and best use value verified by 2 independent appraisers? Why not allow, again, a fair market value that is actually appraised by experts rather than what you think it is, Minister?
Again,
brief response, please.
the first principle of fair market value is ought to be established in a very common sense conversation between Alto and the landowner, where we attempt to establish a negotiated price.
A large corporation
Thank you, Mr.
and an
Albas.
individual.
That
Not
concludes
fair.
the time for this.
All right, guys, smash the like, hit subscribe. Dan Albas, Steve MacKinnon, round number 2. This guy, Steve MacKinnon, is hard to take. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Let's get back to the video.
5 minutes, please. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Minister, earlier we were talking about independent appraisals, but I'm really confused. You said earlier in response to Mr. Garon that the bill specifically protects and gives people a heads up when their land is going to be changed. Can you point to me which section?
I'll ask my deputy. I don't have the exact bill at hand, but ou Monsieur Robitaille pourra.
Mais en fait, in
Maybe
the
Mr. Robitaille can answer.
sections that change, right? All of the other sections of the Expropriation Act remain the same. So the thing about the notice, the prior notice before expropriation starts remains, as well as the notice of expropriation after.
How long is the appropriation notice or the?
I will confirm the time, but it is like well in advance of expropriation.
Okay. Well, I'd like to know what a number with well in advance. So, Minister, while that's being looked at, the bill essentially lets Ottawa freeze or take land, but it gives landowners no statutory right of appeal. Why would your government oppose giving Canadians a simple right to seek a review at federal court?
It's in the bill. There's a possibility of appealing all of this to federal court,
Okay.
just like you can appeal, like any citizen can appeal any federal matter to the federal court.
Okay. Well, that's an important protection for them to have. And, Minister, again, what about the ability to have 2 independent appraisals? Don't you believe, what happens if you have a retiree who is unable to afford to get their own independent appraisal and to contest these at federal court? What happens to the cases of those people, Mr. Minister? Because your own government has said that people are experiencing a affordability crisis.
Robitaille va vous pour ce qui est de l'évaluation.
Yeah. So like change as only specific amendments. The rest remains the same. So, like landowners have the opportunity to have an independent appraisal of their land, and that be taken care into account in the value of the land that is being purchased.
So having the ability to do so, in the case I just gave you of someone that can't afford to do so, that's not a right at all.
No, in this case, like the cost of doing this work is included in a compensation that's going to be provided to landowners.
Okay, so will they be given 2 independent assessments, or will it be Alto simply giving their assessed value, and then they have to contest that value at court as being the lowest that it starts at?
Yeah, the way it works is the Alto gets, well, actually in this case, like we need to take into account, like Alto can purchase the land on a willing buyer, willing seller basis. So if we get to an expropriation, it is the Minister of PSPC that does it, right? So I just want to clarify. So the Minister of PSPC would get its own appraisal. If the landowner wants to get their own appraisal, it is possible, and that's an eligible cost, which would be
The highest and best use.
so there are on
Yes
the
or no?
principle.
It's again, highest and best use. It's either one of those yes or no questions. Because when you freeze someone's land, that undermines the cost of it.
Yet the principle of expropriation, it is to take into account the different use of the land.
So again, the answer is no. The bill lets Ottawa also impose a right of first refusal and work prohibition notices with no expiry date, which can depress land value indefinitely, even the people around it. Why not limit these freezes to 18 months unless a judge approves an extension? Minister.
The principles that you just discussed, whether it be on improvements or the right of first refusal, are in fact to allow landowners the clarity that significant improvements to the land should not be contemplated. That's, I think, a pretty easily explainable principle. There should not be, of course, construction on an identified piece of a corridor of linear infrastructure. In terms of the right of first refusal, that does not prevent a landowner from entering into a purchase and sale agreement. It just allows the government to match.
Minister, again, if you've frozen the use of something and there is no defined timeline, like 18 months, you said right away that this is 4 years just for the first
Just remember,
phase.
to put it
This
in
could be-
context, this is after a specific piece of land, a 60-meter wide corridor, has been identified already as being part of the recommended alignment.
Minister,
Thank
I
you,
know you want to
Minister. Thank you,
minimize it,
Mr.
but
Albas.
again,
That concludes the
18
time that we
months
have.
at
We're
very.
going to
I'm
move
just going to finish
No,
my
no,
words
Mr.
here.
Albas, your time is up.
I just want to say,
Mr.
Minister, it's
Sawatsky,
important for
can we
people to
please
know
have Mr. Albas
18
say
months.
Mike, his time is up. Thank you. Mr. Sawatsky.
We'll wrap it up there, gang. Aaron Canadian Looney, let me know in the comments what you think about Steven MacKinnon. If you enjoy these committee videos, there's a great reason to smash the like and hit subscribe. We cover a lot of this stuff. Aaron Canadian Looney, get your Canadian federal politics right here. Ciao for now. Thank you for watching this video. We'll catch you in the next one. Later, gang.